All right. Hello, everybody, to a Widgets and Digits walkthrough video. Today, I'm going to be playing the Executive Experience. So this is the full game, including both the Boardroom Battle cards as well as the Worker Wars labor market. I'm going to kind of show the game live as I play through it. I'll talk through some of the strategies. I am going to assume that for the most part, everybody knows the rules to the game. I'll explain a few things, but if you're looking for a detailed explanation of the rules, check out one of the tutorial videos. It's on the YouTube, it's on the BGA page, but go look at those first. And then otherwise, this is to kind of see it all happening. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I've already made my widget ideas. We've got Friendly Bee Game Co. rocking the hot dog lobber, which is it fires hot dogs up to 23 feet with a catchy slogan of filling bellies at 23 paces. Yeah, I don't know if I would buy this widget. It seems dangerous, but I guess if you're hungry and far away, it does what you need to do. And then we've got our test player here with the Diet Gator. It's an alligator that chases you when you want to lose weight. Lose the weight or lose your leg. I don't know that I would buy that one either, to be honest. Seems also dangerous, but trying to come at the problem, I guess, from two different angles here. All right, with our widgets made, we are on to the regular game. So the first stage of the executive experience is to bid for some workers. So you're going to bid for workers using these bid placards over here. Typically, what I will do is I will look at the worker requirements of the cards in the market. If you're the first player, you're going to have first access at these cards, so you can kind of bid accordingly. It kind of tells you how much workers you might need. So here it looks like we have a couple medium worker cards. Like would probably want at least two workers because remember you start with a worker at every stage to be able to buy any of these cards. Um, so you never know what your opponent's going to do. It's always usually better to bid a little bit just to be safe. Since we do need workers for these cards, I think the safe move is probably to bid $1 here and guarantee that I'll get some workers. All right, so now I'm going as second player. It looks like my opponent bid $1. When you're second player, you're basically choosing to overbid or underbid. It doesn't really ever make sense to bid the same amount because um, you just like if you're going second, you might as well bid 0 because anything that's left you can get for free. If you bid the same amount, it goes in turn order. This person will still go before you, so now you're just paying to get what you could have probably got for free. If I do overbid, then I can go before them and get workers first. In this case, I'll probably just take whatever they leave me. It's the first round. You usually have some good flexibility here. Okay, so I'm going first. My bid is $1, which means every worker that I hire will cost $1. Remember, you also pay wages at the end of the turn of $1 per worker. So this is just kind of the hiring fee. So I don't want to get crazy with hiring workers here. I probably want at least two. I could either pick up the sloth, but the sloth is better when it can copy somebody else. So if I'm going to get the sloth, I'd probably want to get this sleazy car salesman as well. But the problem is that I can't necessarily use the car salesman because I'll need to buy a finished good to be able to use the car salesman. So it'd be $4 for the salesman plus $14 for a finished good, so that'd be $18. So actually, if I just get two workers, I could get the salesman, right? And I could get a finished good. But then I'm kind of setting it up where my opponent can get this sloth and copy the salesman. And so I'd actually be helping them a little bit. So I think I want to actually just get this motivational cat poster, which also I would need two workers for. I need two workers and I would need to buy a couple resources. Oh, I already went for it. Either way, I need two workers though. And then my opponent is going to get two workers for free. So they're just going to get what I left them. Okay. So let's go ahead, continue with the plan. So if I buy this cat poster, it's $12. I spent $2 on workers, so I'm at 18, so I'd have $6 left. And I'd want to be able to buy two raw materials here, which I really can't do. I'd be $9, and I don't have that much money left. So I think actually the best move here is to get the salesman, just because it's the only card that I can afford that I can also get the resources I need for. So we're just going to do that. All right, there we go. We made a nice $34 because we sold a widget at retail. We sold 2 widgets actually because we were able to buy a finished good. And then I don't want to fire anybody in this round. All right, so I'm going to honestly probably do what I said I would do, which is since my opponent picked up an ability card, I have an option to get the sloth and copy that ability, which is pretty nice. It's always nice when the sloth can copy an ability like Sleazy, um, because the sloth is just a lot more flexibility being an earlier stage card. Like typically you can't swap for people's green cards, and those are typically some of the most valuable cards. But if the sloth can copy the ability, then you can. Um, and that is actually very strong. Okay, so to use the sloth, I am going to need to buy a raw material. All right, and I still have $12 left. That's a good bit of money, to be honest, but I don't have any more workers. So I think for now, we're just going to run it, make the money that I can make, and then we'll go into the second quarter. All right, so we have another chance to bid here. I see Pizza Parties has showed up. That's a pretty good card as well. It allows me to not have to pay wages one turn. In the late game, that's actually potentially a lot of money. I think I will, but the question is how much do we need to bid? Pizza Parties does not need a lot of workers. I can try to get this coffee shop or junior manager, but these are extremely high worker cards. I think I'm probably going to bid $1 here just to be safe, but I'll probably try to get more than 2 workers because I have a good bit of money and I want to try to get my engine built out as quickly as possible. So we're going to go for $1 and we're going to try to hire a lot of workers. All right, so here I am as this player. So in this position, I could bid $2 just to pick up a few workers here and make sure I have options. I could bid $0, but then I'll have to be okay with if my opponent decides to leave me no workers. Now, since I'm playing both players, I do know that they're going to be aggressive this turn. I would also just in general recommend it's probably worthwhile to get some workers when the option presents itself. But this is pretty expensive, so I don't know if I want... I'm just going to go for 2 here just because it gives you a lot of flexibility. 2 workers is enough to buy 75% of the cards in the game. So it's a good safe bet to just get 2 workers. It gives you a lot of options. All right, so since I only have 2 workers, I am going to buy Pizza Parties. And I am going to pay to refresh, I think, because these cards cost too many workers for me to use, but I have enough money that I could potentially pick something else up. Okay, so we are going to get another Pizza Parties here. So, I could also get creative accounting. Let's get creative accounting. Let's get a raw material. And let's assign a worker to Pizza Parties. And then I actually have enough money to sell Pizza Parties and buy the other Pizza Parties, which is actually great because it means I won't have to pay $8 of workers this turn. And so that's definitely worth it. Ooh, through a little pizza party. All right, perfect. And then we'll just assign a worker to Pizza Parties. And that's a pretty good setup. So we're going to be able to push 2 widgets through. Because we have creative accounting, we're also going to charge our opponent $2, which is nice. And because we sold Pizza Parties, we won't have to pay any wages. So we just get a clean $40. That's a pretty good turn. For the Diet Gator. All right. I had an option to fire workers there. I typically don't fire workers. You always kind of need workers. So I would rather, if I paid for them, I'm keeping them. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we have 2 workers. We already have a retail card, so getting a purple card like the robot arm would actually be pretty nice. We have $28, so we could get the robot arm and buy a part, which would be a total of $24. And that would be pretty good. We also could potentially just get like this discount mining cart for 12, and that would leave enough money for a finished good. In the short term, that might actually make more money because I could sell a bunch of raw materials, which are selling for pretty high right now. versus this robot arm. I mean, I'll make an extra $9 from the mining cart versus buying and selling a finished good would only make me about $5. So I think that actually makes a little bit more sense. The only problem is that raw materials get real cheap real fast. But for now, at least, I think we're doing okay. So we're going to just go ahead. Oh, I mean, whoops, I did my math wrong. Buying a part and selling it as a widget would have made me $12, which was actually more than the $9 I'm going to make here. So I could undo this turn, but I actually still like building out my discount mining card here. So I'm going to kind of stick with it. All right, we're just going to run production. And we're not going to fire anybody. All right, we're moving into our next quarter. Ooh, that is a great card, this special delivery stork, and it needs 3 workers. So we're going to bid $1 here, try to lock down those workers. This canary card is actually really strong as well, especially since we're being pretty aggressive on the workers. Okay, so since my opponent bid $1 and I have a worker to spare, I'm going to bid $0 here and get whatever is left over. And we're going to see what that looks like. I definitely want this stork, which would cost 3 workers. And I'm just going to take all of them, to be honest. Quarter 4 or quarter 3. This is a good time to get workers. Okay, so we're going to just take them all, and then it's my turn. So I can go ahead and assign everybody to the purple stage. Now, it'd be really nice to get a fabrication card here. And I have $30, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh and see what my options are. Oh, dang. That would be great. Okay. Well, I can actually get the workers I need for it if I sell my sleazy car salesman. That would make a perfect 3-stack engine. The only disadvantage here is that I will be not having a retail stage going into Q4, which is pretty risky. But I can't resist having a perfect 3-stack engine, and purples sell for a lot right now. So I am just going to go for it. We're just going to have to definitely get a retail card in the last quarter. All right, let's go ahead and run production here. All right, and we're not going to fire anybody. And this other player, we've only got 1 worker, and we have some options here. So we could get Canary, which would guarantee us a bunch of workers going into the last turn. We have this sleazy car salesman, so we can swap for some things, but these are extremely high worker cards, so I don't really want to swap for them. We also have pizza parties. Okay, so if we pick up Canary, we're going to get a ton of workers, basically for sure in the last round, and then we'll potentially be able to buy some really strong stuff. So we're just going to leave it at that, and we're not going to fire anybody. So here we go, going into the last round. Wow, nothing costs workers. That's not ideal. Not ideal. I was planning to, well, I'm planning to sell pizza parties anyways, so I can buy Phillips head screwdriver, I can get a free refresh, and then I can choose what I want to do here. So I think I bid $1 here because that'll actually be free with the Canary Actuary ability. I'll be able to get, I can also swap with my Trained Sloth here and potentially steal one of these cards, which would be pretty nice. All right, how much do I bid here? Do I bid $2 just to make sure I get the entire market? It's not a bad plan, because if I bid $1, my opponent will probably, they have to get a retail card. I think I bid $2 here, and I just completely lock them down. Okay. And now my opponent can choose to bid $3, which is a crazy amount for workers. It's that, or I'm going to have to sell one of my cards to get workers. Man, and I'm going to have to pay a bunch to refresh. I'm basically basically screwed here. Um, or just let it run as is. I mean, making $35, it's not terrible. In the last round, it's not great either. It is not great. I should have gotten a retail card way earlier. Look, my opponent's actually going to make $32, and we're both making okay money, even if we do nothing. I have to get a retail card, and I'm going to have to refresh. But I'm not even first player. I think I actually bid $0 here. I let him take all the workers, and I'm just going to have to sell this mining cart and buy raw materials for $9 versus buying workers for 6. Hmm. All right. We're going to have to bid $3. This is crazy. Okay, so we're going to get 2 workers. All right. Meanwhile, Canary saving some money over here. They're going to take 2 workers as well. Okay, they get to go first. So they definitely want to sell pizza parties because then you can save all that money on workers. Now the question is, do you buy the Phillips head screwdriver and then pay it? And then, yeah, I think so. Just to get the free refresh here. Phillips is basically paid for himself. So we're going to use the free refresh on this. And let's see what we get. Ooh, Spit and Prayers is actually really strong here. So we're going to sell Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to take Spit and Prayers. We're going to discard it to attach it to creative accounting. Haktua! And then we're going to buy this mech suit loaders, which allows us to put 2 guys on assembly. Great. And then we can pick up a part and another part. It would have been really nice to get that suggestion box, but it wasn't worth it to sell creative accounting just to buy a suggestion box. It would have only, yeah, it would have been a net loss. This is actually better. And now we're going to be charging our opponent $3 because we're producing 3 widgets. So making a bunch of money, charging our opponent a bunch. We're looking pretty good. And we're selling some finished goods. So pretty profitable turn. The Diet Gator is looking strong. We have that leftover worker. Let's fire him just for honor. Get out of the break room, Steve. Okay. And now we're coming into our last. Oh, wow. That is completely perfect. Oh, my gosh. Heart of the cards. Heart of the cards. And then we'll buy finished good. Wow. Okay. Well, that is an incredibly lucky draw on the last turn. We're going to make a total of $80. Huge save for the hot dog lobber. It's going to be a pretty close game. What do you think? Who's got it? Remember, the sell values also count to your final net worth. So this guy's got a really valuable team. I think this guy has a little bit more cash. I think Diet Gator might have it, but let's see. Running production. Yeah, it's that $14 of labor that really gets you. 79 to 95? There's no way. All right, not firing anybody. Let's see. Ah, Diet Gator got him. Yep. It was all those workers. It's very expensive. You're gonna have to get some pizza parties if you're gonna have all those workers. Okay, well, that was a Widgets and Digits walkthrough. Got to see what the executive experience looks like. Got to see kind of some worker strategy and a couple different examples of how to play the game. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the forums, comment on the video. Otherwise, I hope you guys have fun playing some Widgets and Digits.